Deven Choksey, Managing Director of Choksey Securities, now joins us. Deven, first let's start with the broader market. Indian markets are clearly in some kind of a consolidation mode. In last 15 days, benchmark indices have moved precious little. Do you think we'll consolidate in this narrow and predictable band till Diwali?
Yeah, good morning, Nikunj. Well, I think this is more of a predicted one. I think the month of October was expected to have the consolidation taking place, largely because of the government from their side completed the round of dosages in form of, I think, reform announcement, I think, in the last month. And the month of October was expected to have the result season continuing and probably giving directions thereafter. By and large, I think in the first half of the result season which we have seen, I think the companies have come up with the predicted lines of working and the directions going forward. So to a greater extent, I think the market would probably, I think, take the cue from the working announcements which the corporates are giving and the directions. My mind, the month of October, you would probably see a clear winners emerging out of, I think, the lot of stocks within the industry and the sectors. And probably you would see these kind of stocks, I think, getting added into the portfolios of both domestic as well as overseas institutional investors by the beginning of November or so. I believe that I think winter session of the parliament is another cue that market would like to take. If the winter session of the parliament allows the reform bills to pass through, then probably coupled with the results announcement and the winners therein, and I think the reform bills getting through, you would see the market going up in the month of November. My own take is that I think somewhere close to Diwali or so, or maybe little before that, we might see, I think, 5900 crossing on the Nifty, and that could probably, I think, pave the way to Nifty to go up further to 6000 plus levels. So to a greater extent, I believe that I think middle of November you should be seeing greater tractions coming in, and market should going up thereafter.
Deven, hi, morning. What about earnings? Because the market is sure to give a thumbs up to TCS after what we've seen from Infosys.
Yes, I think the TCS has largely, I think, continued its leadership even in this particular period. And as you see and study the business model, probably I think they're focusing more on winning the run the business contracts, and probably I think one of the highest amount of deals that they've clicked in the last quarter as well. So from the point of view of looking at TCS vis-a-vis Infosys, I think one would find that by giving the billing discount, the company is clearly, I think, taking care of a lot of new contracts which are coming in their way. And that is where I think I feel that Infosys, vis-a-vis Infosys, I think that TCS would continue to hold an edge. I'm little disturbed to find the statement coming from Infosys which says that I think they too want to follow the discount on the billing cycle, and probably I think that could unnecessarily, I think, bring a lot of margin pressure to Infosys. Infosys up till now has been clearly giving an indication that they wanted to probably go in for the consulting business model, and probably they would grow faster in that particular space. However, if they do resort to discounting billing pattern, probably I think consulting billing model may jeopardize to a greater extent, and that could be a fear on Infosys side. But however, I believe that I think TCS is chalking its path right, and maybe we should be seeing the leadership clearly with TCS continuing in coming times as well.
So, Deven, what is better for Infosys? Low volume growth, low revenue growth, which is way lower than the industry average, or a low margin growth but the revenue growth which could be in line with the industry average?
Well, Nikunj, I would say that for Infosys, I think the clear-cut winning edge would be that I think the path that they have chalked out for, I think, going into the consulting business, if they succeed with this particular path, which is a little long-drawn path, I do agree, and they have already paid price for that particular path that they have adopted. According to me, I think if they have come through this particular path and almost, I think, 2/3 of the path they have covered, probably I think they better focus on that path, because I believe that I think the consulting business model going forward would have a larger amount of business and the profitability to talk about ultimately. So if that is that being so, then in such situation I think Infosys need not, I think, derail themselves and change the model in the middle of the game. Maybe I think couple of more quarters for them, I think, with a low volume growth and I think relatively steady margin growth continuing for Infosys. But otherwise I think they should continue with the consulting business model which they already chalked out.
Devin, a word on L&T, because L&T this quarter has been a marked outperformer, and what so far has done the trick for L&T is the fact that they are still maintaining a strong 15% plus visibility when it comes to their order book. Given the fact that how the environment has changed, do you expect that L&T today could increase or revise their order book guidance?
Yeah, Nikunj, I think you are right. The 15% kind of a visibility for L&T is clearly seen. Even in this quarterly result, I think you might see the revenue growing at around that rate. What is more important to know now is, and as you rightly said, I think the new intake of orders, whether the company is announcing the change in the outlook as far as I think order intake is concerned, it remains to be seen. Generally, in our discussion with various corporates and also I think some of the capital good players, including L&T, we have found out that they have been confirming that they are receiving higher amount of inquiries in recent months. Whether some of these inquiries are expected to convert into the orders in subsequent quarters, I think that is what something which would like to also look at. However, the results are largely going to be top line driven, and maybe I think some amount of pressure continuing onto the profits and the profitability because of the higher amount of input cost. So that is something which I think one will have to look at and accept it in this particular quarter. But certainly I do agree that subsequent quarters you should be seeing higher amount of growth traction coming in from L&T's side, and you should be seeing better order inflows coming into it.
What is your understanding? Time to bet on Jet, time to bet on SpiceJet. One player is down, 4 more are remaining. They will enjoy pricing pressure, market share will gain, currency is stable, and now one is getting a sense that the government of India is also worried about the financial health of the Indian aviation sector.
Yes, Nikunj, I think if you think that there are hopes available for this particular space, then I think one can probably try into some of the better names like Spice and for that matter even Jet. My own take is that I'm not very confident about buying into the aviation stocks. I've been maintaining this stand for quite some time, that we are not comfortable buying into aviation stocks, largely because of I think the cost structure in this particular industry is most unfavorable to the operators. Till the time I think an inclusive way of bringing up this industry comes in, I don't think that any of the companies with whatever the advantage that they may have, I think can probably do better than what I think they're under the limits of the operations in the industry. Certainly I think my risk appetite is not as much that I would like to buy into any of the aviation stock. I would rather stay put from buying into aviation business. Rather I think concentrate more on the areas where I have larger amount of confidence, maybe in the infrastructure space, maybe in the infrastructure ownership space, maybe in some of the banking space where I like to add into my portfolio some of the stocks.